All right, so we're on the third here. So we're looking at a 4-note away major third. The major third represents the third position relative to the Lydian scale, which you could think from a modal chord construction would be chord number 6, or the Aeolian chord, which would be a minor chord construction if we built it from the A here, right? But when I look at this interval, I'm looking at the distance of the A to the home base, which is the F. So it's going to be a 4-note away major third. That is going to be the defining interval that tells us that it's a major mode. The Lydian is a major mode because it has a 4-note away major third as opposed to a 3-note away minor third. From a chord construction, that's going to be one of the ones included in the major part of our chord because we skip every other note. We go from the 1 to the 3, so we're going to have the same name convention from a chordal construction as with our note down here. Okay, let's go. Like it's going to be 4 notes away. So if I go on the same string, 4 notes away would be right there. So if I'm on this F, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, boom. All right, and then so if I go so notice also that we could think that the Lydian is a type of major mode. So oftentimes, if you're in a major mode, sometimes you can do like the bluesy type of thing, which means muddying up from the minor to the major. So the flat, in other words, the minor third would be flattened. So right behind it is the minor third. So so you could try doing something like that, sounding somewhat bluesy-ish, right? But note that, like, if you wanted to, when you're on the majors, sometimes you might think, like, I'm going to do kind of a bluesy thing. What do you do on the bluesy kind of thing? You muddy up the third, throwing in the minor third, leading it into the major third, leaning in on that a lot, and you can throw in converting from the major 7 to the minor 7. So a lot of times when I'm kind of noodling around in the major, I like to kind of keep those things in my mind. And I used to always think of it like from the perspective of like the major mode, the Ionian. But obviously the Mixolydian basically does that already. So if you're playing in Mixolydian, you already have the interval difference of the minor 7. So then you could muddy in the major 7 as you go home. And if you're in the Lydian, I haven't played with it as much in the Lydian, but I would think you can do the same thing. So, right, so that means that if you really learn this position, you can kind of tweak this position from a blues perspective, no matter which of the 3 major modes you're using. If you're in the major scale, in other words, then you'd be playing from the C here, and you would muddy up the third related to the C, and you can then add in the minor 7, right? Because that's not in, and that's going to be the 2 things that you can kind of tweak to convert it to more of a bluesy thing, right? And if you're in the Mixolydian, then you're already going to have the minor 7. You can add in the major 7 as kind of a blurry point that you kind of play with, and of course you have the minor third to the major third. And if you're in the Lydian, I would imagine you can do the same thing, although I haven't played with it quite as much, right? Because on the Lydian, it's the same as the major scale, except for that fourth. You got that weird fourth that has the augmented fourth, which is also could be the same distance as a 6-note away diminished fifth. So that means you could do the same thing you would with the C, basically muddying up the third, you would think, and then adding the minor 7 and kind of muddying that into it. Anyways, so let's go above it. So I'll kind of try to point that out as we go. When I go above it, we're looking for the inverse distance. So we're going to say this is going to be we're looking for the inverse distance. So if I'm looking for a 4-note away major third, 12 minus 4 is 8. So we're looking for a distance of 8. That, by the way, an 8-note away distance would be a minor 6th, noting that the inverse of a major is always a minor. Inverse of a minor is a major. So I'm looking for the inverse distance, which is 8 notes away. This is the fault line. So this tectonic plate shifted to the right. So this tectonic plate I imagine it being in place because it's the bigger one, although it could move too. Maybe it's on softer ground than the small plate. The small plate might be the one that's staying still, and it's the big plate that's moving. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that I feel like the small plate moves to the right, and then so that means that instead of going right above it for a distance of 5, I have to go diagonally, distance of 5. So 5, and I want to go distance of 5 instead of 4 because I can't count in 4s, even though I'm an accountant. I'm dependent on a calculator, okay? I use a calculator, and I'm not ashamed of it. I used to be. The old accountants come in and they do stuff in their head and they're like, da, 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 blah, blah, and they just do the math in their head and it's like, whatever, that's cool. That's not how I do it, okay? I grew up with a calculator and that's nothing to be, I'm not, anyways, 5 here, -5, -6, 7, and 8. So let's count it out this way. -5 here, 6, -5, 6, 7, 8. So there we have it. So top to bottom would be an 8 note away minor 6. Therefore, bottom to top from the F to the A would be a 4 note away, which would be a major third. So therefore, if I go up one string and cross the fault line, the 4 note away major third will be 1, 2, 3, 4 frets back. Where's the minor third? It's going to be flattened. Wait a sec. It's going to be flattened going this way. Boom. Okay. So if I want to muddy that up, I could try to reach back there. It's kind of a reach. Anyways, you can kind of play with that if you want to try to muddy it up. And, but I'm grabbing the wrong one here. Let me do that again. But if I didn't cross the fault line, I wouldn't cross the fault line. That's the only time I'd cross the fault line going from the B up one string. Because if I was down here and I went up one string, let's do it, then I wouldn't cross the fault line. Let's go up here. If I was down here and I went up one string, I wouldn't cross the fault line. And if I was on the top continent and I went up one string, I wouldn't cross the fault line. So the rule is, if I go up one string, the 4 note away major third will be 3 frets back unless I cross the fault line, which happens on the B string, which you can see the tonic got pushed forward. So therefore, if I go up one string and cross the fault line, the 4 note away major third will be 1, 2, 3, 4 frets back, 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 baby. All right, let's go down to the next one. You see I had 4 backs there? I think I had 4 backs. You notice how I did that? I thought that was clever. I've been working on... Anyways, let's go up 2 strings. We're looking for the 4 note away major third. Inverse distance is 12 minus 4, which is 8. So we're going to go then, once again, -5, -10, and then 9, 8. So let's do that here. So we're going to be on this string, -5, -10, 9, 8 on that A. So top to bottom would be a 8 note away, which would be a major 6. Bottom to top from F to A, therefore, would be a 4 note away major third. Hopefully I'm saying major all the time. Major third. Okay, so that means if I go up 2 strings and cross the fault line, the 4 note away major third will be 1 fret forward. But I wouldn't cross the fault line if I started from the G or the D. It's only when I was on the A or the E that I could go up. I can't go up 2 strings from these two because I've run out of strings. So if I were here, for example, on this F and I went up 2 strings, it would be here. So the normal rule is if I go up 2 strings, the 4 note away major third is going to be 2 frets forward unless I cross the fault line, which would happen on the bottom 2 strings, the B and the high-pitched E string, in which case, if I go up 2 strings and cross the fault line, the 4 note away major third will be 1 fret forward. All right, let's go up another string here. Oh, by the way, if I flattened it, then we would flatten this way. So if I was muddying that one up, it's like, which finger should I use? Or this finger? And then I'm playing that G out. That G is a 9. That's kind of tensiony sounding. Anyway. All right, let's go up to the next one. Otra vez. It's time to move on. Move on. What am I supposed to move on? Let's go back this way. Which way do I want to go? Well, you can see it's an equilateral triangle. We're right in the middle. So that means if so now I'm looking for the 4-note away major third going up 3 strings. So going up 3 strings. So it's I look for the inverse distance, which is 12 minus 4 or 8. So 5 going diagonal, 10, 15, only 12 notes in the musical alphabet. 15 minus 12 is what I'm calling -3. -3, -4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or I can go the other way. This would be -5, 10, 15. 15 minus 12 is 3. -3, -2, -1, -0. Octave. And then we go 12, 0 or 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. So this is an equilateral triangle. This is the maximum distance I would have to go, 6 frets, because that's right in the middle of a 12-note thing, right? So I'm going to say then if I go, this is going to be 5, 10, 15. 15 minus 12 is -3, -3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So from this open to here would be an 8-note away minor 6. So from bottom to top would be therefore a 4-note away major third. Okay, so that means that if I go up 3 strings and cross the fault line, the 4-note away major third will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frets back, which means it's also going to be 6 frets forward. Now you might say, why do I memorize that? Because I'm never going to reach that far. Noting that most of the time it's not that far, because usually it's within 5 frets. So only one time out of all of them is it going to be 6 frets, right? Which is just out of reach. So yeah, you're probably not going to be reaching that far, but again, that's the longest distance. Now, what if I didn't cross the fault line? If I wouldn't have crossed the fault line if I go up 3 strings from this string. So I could go from this F and then go up 3 strings to here. Now notice that's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's actually a reachable type of distance, right? And if I was building some kind of inverse chord, then that might be something I could throw in there, although still a little unusual because it is a bit of a reach. So the rule though, however, would be that if I go up 3 strings, then the 4-note away minor third is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets back, unless I cross the fault line, which would happen on the bottom 2 strings, the E, the B and the E string, in which case if I go up 3 strings and cross the fault line, the 4-note away major, I hope I said major third will be 6 frets back, which means it's also 6 frets forward. It's right in the middle, equal distance. You might have a better chance going forward if you have to touch them both at the same time, although going back works here because it's an open string. You can always play the open string. So let's go down. Let's go up to the next one. So if I am on the next one, it's here. Now you might say, well, if I go to the top string, it would be easier to go to the bottom string and then mirror that on the top since it's the same notes, different octaves. So I could say, well, why don't I go down 1 string, the 4-note away major third? If I go below it, I don't need to take the inverse distance, but could just go a distance of 4. I don't need to go diagonal because the fault line isn't below here. Therefore, a distance of 5 is right underneath it, and then 4. If that's an A here, it's also an A up top, and therefore there it is. What if I count up the other way? It's going to be an inverse distance if I go the other way. 12 minus 4, which is 8. And then I have to go diagonal, which is 5, -10, -15. 12 notes in the alphabet. 15 minus 12 is -3, plus another 5 is 8. So I can count it up that way. Let's do it here. 5, 10, 15. 15 minus 12 is -3. 3 plus 5 is 8. So boom, boom, top to bottom. would be then top to bottom would be an 8-note away major 6. Bottom to top, therefore, would be a 4-note away major 3rd. Okay, that means if I go up 4 strings, I'm going to cross the fault line, because I can't go up 4 strings and not cross the fault line unless I think about going around the top of the guitar. Therefore, if I go up 4 strings, we'll always cross the fault line, and the 4-note away major 3rd, therefore, will always be 1 fret back. No exception to the rule unless we go around the top of the guitar. But we're not thinking about that right now. So let's go below it. So now we're looking for going below it. So if I go below it, I don't have to take the inverse distance. I can just go for the distance of a 4-note away. So if I go right below it, it'll be 5 and then back to 4. So that's the shape we probably know best. Down 1, 5, back to 4. We probably don't play it down here as much, maybe not recognize it at the bottom, but might recognize it more on the top of the guitar if I was playing on the top 2 strings, that distance. Notice there's no change in the fault line, so that is what it normally is. Therefore, if I go down 1 string, the 4-note away major 3rd will be 1 fret back unless I cross the fault line, which only happens on the G string. So if I was on the G string, that F on the G string, and I cross the fault line, it would be on the same fret. So the rule is if I go down 1 string, the 4-note away minor 3rd will be 1 fret back unless I cross the fault line, which only happens on the G string, in which case if I go down 1 string and cross the fault line, the 4-note away major 3rd will be on the same fret. Okay, let's just go to the next one. I'm going to try to crank out. Oh, the next one's the crazy one though.